Welcome to the On TRAC podcast, the show where we bring you all the latest and juiciest developments from the OriginTrail ecosystem and the verifiable internet for AI that the OriginTrail technology is crucially enabling. This episode is a special one. Rather than our typical format, where we live stream and live record an episode, interacting with the audience and taking community questions, this time I'm bringing you a unique on-the-ground episode recorded in person at DKGcon 2024 in Amsterdam. In case you missed it, DKGcon took place October 24 through 25 and was centered around driving trust in AI with knowledge graphs and decentralization, with a particular focus on how OriginTrail's decentralized knowledge graph specifically is making this a reality. I should also just mention real quick that day one of the conference, which included the main panels and discussions, is available to watch right now on the OriginTrail YouTube page. I had the pleasure of traveling to Amsterdam for the conference, reuniting with old friends, and meeting a lot of new friendly faces. And it was also great to meet several podcast listeners as well, many of whom came up to me and introduced themselves in person, so big shout out to all the listeners. While I was there, I sat down with the OriginTrail team, as well as several of the speakers, to hear about their experiences at the conference, unpack the significance of some of the topics covered during the talks, and learn about some of the next steps and upcoming developments we can look forward to in the next weeks. And there's some juicy stuff in here about paranets and funding opportunities, so definitely make sure you listen until the end. But before the conference actually kicked off, I first talked with Žiga, one of OriginTrail's co-founders, to hear his expectations for the event and what he was excited about going into it.
We live in a time where AI is dominating our public space and a lot of information is being generated which is filled with hallucinations, bias, misinformation. And OriginTrail is here to basically help base artificial intelligence by providing a substrate for facts to come to the front in the age where misinformation is widespread. And we're really happy to have speakers and partners from various organizations from multiple countries, very notable speakers such as Bob Metcalf. He's one of the basically founding fathers almost of the internet. We also have Ben Goertzel, so a pioneer of AGI. We have great speakers from OriginTrail, Branimir Rakić. He is also the brain. He helped deliver this child of ours, which is OriginTrail, and a line of other speakers from Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and most visible organizations that do care that we should deliver the kind of AI system that not only is not filled with misinformation and bias, but also it is respecting of creators' content ownership. And at the end of the day, we're also going to be hearing from developers as to what they have built using OriginTrail, so that's very exciting. And last but not least, we're also going to be talking about the future of OriginTrail, taking together all the learnings we have gotten so far, seeing into the network effects that we have produced with the Decentralized Knowledge Graph, which has gone through the most explosive growth in the past several years and is expected to have an even faster growth, sort of a Cambrian explosion because of the scalability throughput that is coming with V8 and also some of the very important integrations that are going to be made possible. Plus, the builders coming in to be able to build more stuff and participate in the future development of OriginTrail. So we're going to save some surprises for the end, and we're also going to be launching a beta edge node product. So this day is also going to be about the launch of a beta knowledge DKG edge node, which is also going to be used by some of the builders which have been already experimenting on it. And one of the builders which is launching a decentralized product and decentralized science space is actually going to unveil their progress so far. So plenty of things to look forward to. The event is going to be packed and we're all looking forward to seeing it come to a full fruition.
Based on everyone I talked to, as well as my own experience, I think it's fair to say that the conference did not disappoint and Žiga's predictions were accurate. The speakers came from all walks of life and all different sectors. The topics for the talks were all fascinating and highly relevant, and there was a really powerful sense of community, one built around this shared notion that we need to be developing AI in a way that truly serves and benefits humanity. that being all of us. But don't just take my word for it. After the main event wrapped up, I caught up with several of the speakers to hear directly from them about their experience and to learn a little more about what they are up to outside of the conference.
Yeah, my name is Joe Vezzani. I'm the CEO and co-founder of LunarCrush. We're a social media intelligence platform. We've been building in Web3 since 2018, so been 6 years now, been in the space. And yeah, I'm having a blast here in Amsterdam, hanging out with the OriginTrail folks and DKGcon. It's my first one. Very impressed with the quality of the people that are here. You know, I was just joking with some folks that, you know, being in Web3 and the social media space, you know, sometimes you go to conferences and it's just wild content creators and, you know, the meme craziness that is Web3. And this is a tight-knit group of builders, and a lot of companies are here. You know, Google, Microsoft is here, Amazon is here. Really impressive. And then in a weird way, it's like the age range of the people that are at this. It's like, I really enjoy it as being a founder, you know, who's turning 40 next year, listening to, you know, some folks that are in their 60s that have kind of been through a lot of stuff and hearing their take on the early internet and how that was kind of built out, and hearing, you know, some of the problems and roadblocks that they ran into with the early internet and how they got around that sounds so familiar to what we've kind of gone through in blockchain and Web3. And so just to kind of be close to those folks and, you know, be in a more intimate setting here has been really awesome. So
how did you connect with the OriginTrail team? What got you interested? And I know you've got a paranet launching at some point in the future. So what will the focus of that be? What are you able to share about that?
Yeah, so I was actually helping out another content creator, Marion Fall, and I was running a bunch of fun Twitter spaces with them. And as a founder in the space, it's also a great way for me to kind of network and meet people. And one of the guests that came on was OriginTrail. And, you know, I would just do a bunch of diligence before each thing. So I, you know, knew what questions to ask and, you know, kind of go down the rabbit hole. And it's a fun way to kind of like, it's a force function for me as a CEO in the industry to like do more research and learn, and just really enjoyed the conversation with them. You know, like I think AI is starting to become and is now just such a mainstream and important sector for us all to kind of be focused on. And I think there's a couple of different camps. There's open source AI that's being built. There's, you know, companies that are building their own kind of closed source for profit LLMs like an open AI. You've got this other track of like decentralized knowledge graphs and building AI. And I think OriginTrail seems to be, you know, one of the only people that are kind of like building in that category. And so just was impressed with the team, had a good conversation with them a couple of different times. And with regards to the paranet and NeuroWeb, it's just really interesting, right? Like at LunarCrush, we talk a lot about the convergence of Web3, AI, and social media. And so, you know, OriginTrail being kind of at the center of Web3 and AI, you know, we felt that they were a good partner to start to engage with when it came to, you know, what they were building around the paranets. And it's a new thing. We're still not even at the vote yet. We're just at a proposal kind of area. So we're looking for ideas, you know, so if you're out there and you've got ideas about how to use social media, I'm actually really eager to see how people are going to utilize it. You know, you can do fun things like, you know, maybe if you're a content creator and you want to ask, how many times did I post about, you know, this? Which post did I get the most engagement on? And why do you think I got the most engagement on that, right? And then if you're contributing to the knowledge graph, potentially you're, you know, crowdsourcing sentiment, right? And you're marking different, you know, posts for bullish or bearish or spam, you know, whatever is out there. And so I just think that there's a lot of opportunity to kind of almost like oracleize like social media data, but then also have a layer of AI on top of that. And so I think those things together could be really interesting.
So is the idea then, like, let's say I'm a content creator, I've got 30 followers, I want to be more successful, my tweets just aren't hitting for some reason, I'm not getting the audience I want, that I could then like upload my tweets as knowledge assets into the paranet, onto the DKG, and ask like an LLM questions about why I'm not doing as well as I wish I would be doing?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that your posts will already be there, right? And that's the easy part, is that it's there for you already, right? And then you can also kind of query it to learn from, you know, what's doing well out there. Because technically all the data is out there, right? But you're only seeing what's in your feed, you know, and who you're kind of following. But there are millions and millions of posts out there, different articles being written every day. How do we all learn from each other and create better content? right? And so if you're an up and coming content creator right now, you might be like looking towards other people or following different people that you think are interesting, or wow, that person wrote a great article. How cool would it be to, in real time kind of be able to kind of query a large language model and query an AI agent potentially and say, hey, I want to write an article about this. Like, can you show me some of the ones that have done well, right? Or can you tell me a little bit of a spin, like, or, do a little diligence on my last 15 posts. Why do you think that when I was posting about this specific topic, my post didn't do well in that topic, right? And maybe you kind of get back some interesting data around, well, it looks like the top 15 people kind of posted like this. And you can go out and see that data, right? Like that's out there. But, for you to go and search and figure out how to get there and then like to understand and really break that down, I think is the difficult part. And so I think it just kind of connects the dots in a much easier way.
So my name is Jaden from CoinEasy, and I'm founder of the CoinEasy and 3 years bootstrap company. And CoinEasy is a Web3 education social platform in South Korea. So we are helping onboarding Web2 users Web3 and also helping other projects getting into South Korea market. I met OriginTrail team in Hong Kong, Web3 festival. A mutual friend introduced us to OriginTrail, and it was really great to meet them. And then heard about DKG. And then we met again in Singapore. And then we started to talk about expanding Korea market. So now we are working with OriginTrail for Korea market expansion. That's why I'm here to show people how CoinEasy helping OriginTrail Korea expansion, building community, localized marketing, and onboarding builders and onboarding projects and doing events in the future. So yeah, really excited to be here, and I was really happy to talk about our company and also present how we are helping OriginTrail for Korea market in front of everyone during DKGcon. So I met like a lot of people and really amazing conference and really high quality. I also really excited about the workshop tomorrow, V8, Edge, Node, and other agenda. So really, really excited to be here and excited for tomorrow as well.
What is the blockchain Web3 community like in Korea today? Are people familiar with OriginTrail? And what kind of work will you be doing to introduce OriginTrail in Korea?
Yeah, so blockchain itself is really, really famous in South Korea. And people really get the concept. And now the BlackRock, all the other big institution coming in, and it's already like a legit sector. They built a lot of credibility in South Korea. So in OriginTrail, it's really beginning. We just worked with like couple weeks. So we are building community in South Korea and educate those builders and retail users at the moment. So we need some time to educate them first and then update all the follow-up news, the new V8 and everything going on to the Korea community. So then they can realize, oh, DKG exists, and they see all the projects building on OriginTrail. So they can get the ideas that how they can use OriginTrail to their ecosystem. So yeah, it's part of the process at the moment.
Obviously you spoke today, but is there anything or another presentation that you saw that was particularly interesting, or is there anything that you learned today that you didn't know coming into it?
Yeah, I saw a lot of projects today, and someone did like a Polygon chain, and then they can like deploy the new supply chain on Polygon, and then DKG verify those information. So that was really, really interesting. So I was like, wow, there's so many things you can do with the DKG, solving the in real life problems. So I think DKG has so much like potential than people think at the moment. So I'm really excited to see many other projects building on.
My name is Charles Ivie. I am a senior graph architect in the Amazon Neptune graph database service team. What's my experience been like? It's been marvelous. I thought the talks have been really informative. There's much to learn here. There are many things that I've discovered that I don't know related to the graph industry. It's wonderful to see a different vertical of it because I've never been involved really in the side of the community that works with graph, but also with crypto, and I think what I've just been described as Web 3.0. But I think the big takeaway from me was at the end of the day, at the end of a long day with lots of talks and lots of people, the auditorium was full and everybody was fully engaged till the last moment, which I thought was a wonderful testament to the organizers of the conference.
So you come from Amazon, which is obviously a very large, centralized corporation. This is sort of a mix of a crypto, AI, knowledge graph, technology events. Obviously not everybody here is from the crypto world, but there are a lot of people here from the crypto world, and that world tends to be a little bit scared or hesitant around companies like Amazon, Google, the kind of big centralized companies. One thing you talked about in your presentation today is, or you hinted at least, is the way that like Amazon databases, if I have that term correctly, can be used and integrated into the DKG, into OriginTrail. And so I was wondering if you have any thoughts on how can Amazon be used alongside of a decentralized technology like the DKG?
Sure. So I should be precise in what I'm saying. Amazon is not the same as Amazon Web Services. So I work for Amazon Web Services as a member of the Neptune graph database team. We provide one of the dedicated database services that can be used by builders for whatever they want to do. As a managed service, it's very easy to use, and there isn't really a restriction to what people could want to do with it, whether they're working in crypto or in any other domain or area, as far as we're concerned. And where they choose to store their data assets, if that happens to be in Amazon Neptune, then that's because they want to store highly connected data for a graph, and they care about interoperating that data with other places, whether that's internally to them in an incredibly secure manner underneath the guardrails that AWS provide, Amazon Web Services, just as they do through all the other AWS services, or if it's something that they want to expose and join together in a network of services that can communicate with one another through whatever protocols are wanted. What the semantic web and the W3C standards that underpin it provide for all of OriginTrail, the ontologies such as dprod, which I described today, and Neptune as a graph database, the underlying standards which they all conform to enable that possibility. So it's not that we have deliberately executed a integration between OriginTrail and Neptune in order to be here to say that they're compatible. We just know that they are because they follow the standards that have been provided to us by people before us by creating these W3C standards, which bring us all here today, I guess, and that's the connected graph that we're in. So we're joined in our own graph of knowledge to be here probably because of those standards and the way of interoperating data. There's nothing stopping people working with these technologies. The only real limitation is the limitations that they set for themselves.
The second day focused on builders, so there were workshops for the technically minded, covering topics such as paranets, knowledge mining, edge nodes, and more. Now, I'm not much of a capable builder myself. I don't think I could program an app if my life depended on it. I am pretty good with GeoCities, but I don't know how far that gets me in 2024. But luckily, I know someone who is a builder, and that would be Amos Thomas, aka TriniZone, who is a DKG educator and the founder of Tracverse. Amos also gave his own presentation on day one, presenting Tracverse as a DKG use case, as well as participated in all the workshops on day two. So I sat down with Amos and I asked him about his thoughts on the conference, the workshops, and I got a sneak peek of what's next for Tracverse.
Well, my name is Amos Thomas, born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, and now I'm here in Amsterdam for the OriginTrail DKGcon 2024 conference. Obviously, I'm here representing Tracverse, but also the majority of the Caribbean as well. You know, being like the only really like Trinidadian innovator operating in Web3. Well, the only really prominent one that I've seen operating in Web3. I feel like it's also my responsibility to potentially represent those people in name, in true. So yeah, I'm here representing Tracverse, the Caribbean. The conference itself, however, I had a great time, genuinely. I've been to Coin Agenda in Puerto Rico. I went to Denver. I've been all over. And this conference truly was one of there's an energy that is magnetic when you attend a DKG event. Everybody feels like they're here to truly change humanity and not just be another VC project or make a little bit of money here and there. It really felt like everybody came together to do something for the betterment of humanity. And I felt like every interaction I had with people at DKGcon, they kept repeating that exact same sentiment. So I think we're seeing just this positive movement being formed at these conferences, and you could feel that energy. So yeah, I think overall, the conference really leaves you feeling inspired, number one, and it leaves you feeling like you can actually change the world, number two. And I would say if you have those two things, there's nothing that can really stop you from wanting to be the best innovator you can be. So I gained a lot of value from the conference.
So you're here as a builder as well, obviously representing Tracverse. We're recording this on day 2 of the conference. So that is the day that is the building workshops. So what has experience been like as a builder, specifically attending the conference and participating in these workshops?
That's actually a great question. And for more reasons than one. Primarily also because I'm what you would consider a self-taught developer. So most of the people who are here have extensive amounts of knowledge in the areas of knowledge graphs and understanding ontologies and how all of these systems work together. So for someone who I would deem myself as a relatively newer developer, my opinion in particular is actually quite important because the people who are about to be building on these systems are very likely going to be a lot of people like me, and not because there's a big boom in software or whatever, but because of AI democratizing the access to knowledge such that regular people can become, pseudo developers, right? So you need to make sure that these kind of people can actually use your system as well. It needs to be that easy for them to be able to use the system. So as a builder, a newer builder coming in and seeing how they've actually released the new DKG V8 updates and how you can actually implement and upgrade the utility of the actual software that was released. Totally intuitive, very intuitive. Of course, some things could still be worked on, and that's pretty much the point of what they were saying. It's about the community coming together to finalize the vision of this ecosystem.
You're part of the OriginTrail community. You know that everybody likes to get a little bit of alpha, a little bit of insight into some of the upcoming things going on. So as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracverse is actively working toward launching its own paranet.
Yes.
So what is that going to look like? What you can share? And is there going to be like a community process where people in the community can get involved and then contribute to that paranet, like knowledge mining?
Absolutely. Tracverse is creating a paranet around content. And that means any form of content. Images, video, audio, and other forms of digital media, right? After you've uploaded these contents to the DKG, to our paranet, the goal is to allow you to use these different pieces of media to construct verifiable stories based on verifiable assets. So let's say I have a particle, which is something I just announced yesterday. That particle, the images in that article, a particle is just an article, but uploaded to the paranet. So particle, paranet, article, paranet article, right? So the content in that particle will also all be verifiable. So imagine you go to Medium, which is pretty much what you see as the premier blogging platform for professionals and stuff like that. Okay. Well, these professionals, when they're making these blog posts, they upload screenshots and images to describe the things that they're talking about. Well, every piece of that data needs to be protected because AI is scraping all of that data. It includes blog posts, anything that touches the internet, AI is consuming, and we need to protect. If it's digital, we have to protect it. It doesn't matter if it's an article you don't care about. It's still someone's IP, still someone's thoughts, still someone's knowledge that needs protection. So the concept, generally speaking, is like everything in that article should be protected the same way we're protecting the individual asset themselves, the individual video, the individual image. When you put all of that together, you now have a complete protected blog post. Well, that's an example of the type of assets that will exist in the Tracverse paranet. So the Tracverse paranet will consist of particles, singles, which is just like single stories and single short form content. And then there's series, which is a collection of either singles or particles. For example, when you go to a Medium post and somebody saying, we're releasing a 3-part series on explaining how HTTP works, right? That's 3 parts. Technically, I can do the first part as one single particle. I can do the second part as one single particle. I can do the third part as one single particle, but they're just all one individual asset, each of them their own. Or I can just mint a series knowledge asset and then embed each of the articles inside of there. So that's pretty much what the Tracverse paranet will kind of consist of. And the community side of it is obviously in creating these assets, not just the particles or the series or the singles, but also even the artworks and the screenshots. Literally a screenshot is something you could upload from your computer and then use that in an article. All of these things, they will be able to upload directly to the paranet via the new Edge node functionality and also using the Marifa website as a web app. So you can use the local instance of the Edge node or decide to use marifa.com. And there's also the additional layer for community engagement in the sense of voting to support the paranet, because we will not be able to gain any of the neuro unlocked from the network if the community does not support it. So guys, go vote for Tracverse paranet when it's out, okay? Support the ecosystem, because I mean, Tracverse is really born natively from the DKG. There is no big VC money that's coming in here. This is really something that is born by the OriginTrail community for the OriginTrail community. So that's pretty much, I don't know if I gave any alpha considering all the stuff I dropped was public knowledge already. But yeah.
Finally, the day after the conference wrapped up, and after the dust had settled and the impact of the event had been absorbed a little bit, I met up with the founders of OriginTrail at our hotel, that would be Tomaž, Žiga, and Branimir, to unpack the event, discuss some of the themes I picked up on, and talk about the future of OriginTrail. And here's a sneak preview. It's a future that you are probably going to want to pay attention to. We are here in Amsterdam. The DKGcon is officially wrapped up. I'm sitting here with the OriginTrail co-founders. Got Branimir, Tomaž, and Žiga with me. And so I'm curious, the event wrapped up and it was 2 days. It was very exciting to me. I met a lot of very cool people. I got to see some Amsterdam nightlife last night. That was fun. What are your kind of thoughts on how the conference went? Do you think it went well? Was there anything that stood out from the event? Anything that was particularly exciting to see come to fruition?
Thanks for setting us up with Jonathan and coming to the conference. It was a pleasure seeing you again. And I mean, just personally, the highlight was really the community and the vibe at the conference. There were so many great speakers. The content was incredible, but I cannot shake this feeling that it was just so empowering and so collaborative, collective, I would even say. I hope that translated also to the folks watching online. But if you were not at the conference, I hope you could feel that. Yeah, it was very exciting to see, especially the builders. There were plenty launching their own paranets, building DKG-based products for the conference itself and for DevCon, I believe, and just a lot of new exciting ideas going around. It was really, really an incredible experience.
You mentioned a kind of fun about seeing the community all come together for the conference as being sort of important or monumental or exciting or whatever the case may be. And I agree, it was really cool to see people. I learned I'm a celebrity, apparently. A lot of people coming up to me and being like, oh, I love the podcast. One thing that was actually really cool to see, and I won't mention the name of the project because I don't know if they wanted this to be public or not. I didn't get their permission, but somebody came up to me and said, hey, I listened to your podcast about the V8 launch, and that's what made me decide to build on OriginTrail, which I thought was so cool.
That's amazing.
And it was great to put names to faces of people I either are familiar with from being in the ecosystem or I see their names on Telegram or whatever the case may be. So when it comes to this idea of community, OriginTrail has built, I think, a very strong and passionate community, one that is particularly focused as well on bringing positive benefits to humanity through technology, through the DKG, through blockchain, etc. So how do you see the role of community when it comes to the ecosystem, and what role does conferences like this play in fostering and building that community?
First of all, I think it's great that we're seeing positive outcomes on the back of the podcasts, especially if it's inspiring people to get involved more closely with the technology. I think it's great, and it's a testament also to the fact that the community is growing. I think the point of OriginTrail's ecosystem is that you have such a almost heterogeneous bunch of people, organizations that are gravitating toward OriginTrail because of the common set of values that we all share in how the world will look in the age of AI. We share certain principles around what is important, things like transparency, things like integrity, things like having to own your own data set as an individual, as an organization. That's what enabling OriginTrail to have a lot of different types of participants at a conference like the DKGcon, where it's really not just one lane that you're seeing. And I think the good thing about the DKGcon is that perhaps these different lanes might seem disjointed to an outside person looking in. However, at conferences like DKGcon, you see how they're all aligned, how really these values are playing into whether that's a Web2 company trying to achieve something, whether that's a public institution looking to improve the way AI is being even regulated in the future, or whether that's a startup entrepreneur who's trying to make a difference from the perspective where they see it's most impactful. And the community, especially the community of builders who are kind of carrying that torch of change that OriginTrail as a technology is enabling, are hugely important, and their importance is only growing in the future of OriginTrail as an ecosystem, of course, because that strength will come in numbers as well when more and more of these different types of builders or different types of individuals, organizations are joining in the community. And I think that the beauty of it is there's a place for everyone to kind of find their spot in the ecosystem, whether that's on as an individual being and kind of involved in spreading the gospel, quote unquote, or being active in a way of sharing those values online or offline, whether that's as a builder, again, an individual or a team of people that are looking to create that change, or even as representatives of larger organizations where that can really have ripple effects to an even bigger degree sometimes. So yeah, I'm really pleased to see all of the above mentioned subgroups being present at the DKGcon over the course of the last 2 days, kind of sharing the same level of excitement regardless of what their background is around what they were seeing over the course of these 2 days and what they were able to interface with in terms of technology. So looking forward to see when we have that same conversation next year that we're going to have another orders of magnitude jumps in terms of the size of participants and the size of the human capital engaged in the ecosystem.
One thing you were just mentioning, Tomaž, is how OriginTrail brings together these kind of different groups of people. You've got big corporations that are interested in the technology. You've got governments interested in the technology. You've got individuals. You've got people that are obsessed with privacy, interested in the technology, Web3, blockchain companies. Was it your initial focus from the start to provide something that can bring together all these different groups that are sometimes a little bit scared of each other? Like Web 2 can be scared of Web 3. Web 3 can be a little nervous about Web 2. There's still Web 1, I guess, that's still out there somewhere. Was this like intentional, or is it just kind of a happy accident and side effect of the technology?
Well, we need to know that OriginTrail did not appear yesterday. We actually been solving different problems within different sectors since 2011, when we first helped, for instance, a group of family farmers to be more successful in the market by showing and giving more information to consumers about the products that they were selling, and in that way be more successful than those who are just, forcing consumers to buy cheap and oftentimes products with opaque history, opaque supply chains. So that was like over 10 years ago, and of course challenges back then were somewhat different. However, over the course of the 10 years, going into many different sectors with the help of larger companies such as BSI, and then working with, for instance, the biggest retailers in the States to basically establish safer import of different products from overseas, the overarching narrative has always been the same. So improve transparency in knowledge exchange, and in that way improve supply chains, improve passenger safety, improve now more predominantly veracity or reliability of artificial intelligence. And hence this tagline, creating or empowering collective neurosymbolic AI, is more than called for. In the past year or so, we've seen that AI has taken over. Trillions are being spent, trillions valuations are being created by the companies such as Nvidia and so on, pretty much selling shovels, and on the other end, OpenAI not exactly benefiting from the actual value they create, but oftentimes the hype and the immediate effects that artificial intelligence is bringing. And the immediate effects that artificial intelligence has brought in the past year, the costs do not exceed the value yet. And the reason why is that the case we see is that artificial intelligence is not based, meaning it's not based in facts. And what OriginTrail has built, and this perhaps is one of the reasons why organizations such as BSI and then largest retailers in the US, and then also European Commission, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, participants from all winds of the world are coming together to build a better AI by essentially nesting artificial intelligence in facts that are being enshrined in the Decentralized Knowledge Graph. And Decentralized Knowledge Graph to date has proven to be the only community-led solution that can effectively address such a challenge in a decentralized fashion. And that is perhaps one of the reasons why such a diverse set of organizations are coming together, not to solve or to tackle just one specific challenge, but to tackle one of the most critical challenges that humanity is facing right now, which is basically poor transparency, poor trust that artificial intelligence has brought in, many walks of life, and turn that into something that is a positive agent for the future of humanity. Humanity needs to somewhat control the artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence needs to become human-centered, meaning that it serves humanity. And in serving humanity, centralization, we feel, is not the best way going forward, because there are so many things, so many ways artificial intelligence can help humanity by empowering drug discovery, by empowering humans to make better decisions day in, day out about anything, education, product discovery, you name it, basically all walks of life. But everything needs to be nested in this collective neurosymbolic AI. And this symbolic partner, which is being brought about by the Decentralized Knowledge Graph, is actually the older couple to the artificial intelligence, but it is only now gaining its, perceived value because what this neural AI has brought into the market. So effectively, we're not just sweeping and making sure that the problems of yesterday are being solved, which were mostly man-made, so bad character in terms of the human character. Now predominantly DKG and OriginTrail is addressing machine-incited or created problems, which are in many ways even bigger than the problems that were directly caused by humans before the AI became so popular.
One of the things that you guys revealed during the conference that I don't know if everybody really picked up on the significance of is that you have basically committed to opening up the developer fund, of which I understand there's quite a lot left that hasn't been touched very much, opened it up for people outside of the Trace Labs core development team to use to build out the DKG further. So could you break down a little bit the significance of that and what made you decide to make that decision? Was there like a particular spark, thought process, an event or something that led you to that? Or was it just kind of a matter of time? You felt it was time?
Yeah, I would say the time is ripe. There are several reasons. One is that OriginTrail, especially with the V8 version, is reaching the internet scale, meaning that it can basically encapsulate all of the world's knowledge. That's the capacity of it. So that's one precondition. Second precondition is the user experience. With the new version of the DKG V8, we are also bringing about into the market the new piece of technology called DKG Edge Node, which allows anyone using any device, using any chain, and then also using any AI model to gain more value out of the knowledge, private or public knowledge. And in doing so, we feel strongly that ourselves as the core builders are not as omnipotent as the power of the community can be if we create a fertile ground for anyone that has provenly been using OriginTrail. So the key mantra here is that those who are growing the knowledge are also going to be the ones who are going to be developing the OriginTrail ecosystem, both in technical terms and also in a community sense. So with that in mind, we are instilling now a meritocracy in terms of who's actually bringing positive actions to the OriginTrail ecosystem and something that can actually be measured. And it all boils down to the knowledge, to the quality of the knowledge that is being generated in the OriginTrail ecosystem. That said, of course, we as the core builders are going to be present in the whole ecosystem forever. And we are going to be, to the same extent as we have been now, the positive agent for the growth and also the development of the OriginTrail ecosystem. However, we want to have more bright minds to come to our midst, to get their hands dirty, and then perhaps bring in even more clever ideas. More minds most likely bring more, fresh perspective. And in the future, in a few years' time, some other entity or some other DAO, some other group of people might even become the dominant force within the OriginTrail ecosystem. So that's one aspect. And the second aspect is, of course, the OriginTrail is a mature technology that we don't need to propose new leapfrog updates in order to achieve the level of maturity where someone else can come in and propose a direction or multiple directions in which we can enrich this ecosystem. And this incentivized collective neurosymbolic AI is also a huge advantage if you compare this to any other Web3 ecosystem, or even more so to any other Web2 ecosystems where you have a more or less a centralized bunch of people or a group that maintains or develops the technology. So in a way, it is also leapfrogging transparency, leapfrogging inclusiveness in terms of the contributions to the OriginTrail ecosystem. And we already have a line of very cool developers, even very successful big organizations that are interested to take part in the future development of OriginTrail, and in many ways they're already doing so. And with the V8 launch is going to be the main, let's say, starting point from which all the development experience, all the, let's say, contributions in terms of the growth contributions to the knowledge, all of these contributions are going to start accrue in terms of, some sort of a karma. We're going to describe more about the exact particularities of this in an RFC, but the key kind of date here is going to be the date when we launch the V8, and that is, coming into effect very quickly.
Maybe just to add to the why now element of it is the next to the V8 and the internet scale that we're getting it, and the trusted elements that are now extending to the DKG Edge node. The incentivized collective neurosymbolic AI also involves the maturity of NeuroWeb as a part of that foundation, which really allows the community to get involved in that incentivized collective element of it, right? So that it can influence which paranets are the ones that are better than the other, and kind of use Neuro there as an element also to kind of highlight those sentiments on your web. So I think that's the third component of why really the timing for such action is very ripe. Yeah. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to say thanks to all the guests, all the speakers that gave their very valuable time, some of them even to travel over to Amsterdam to be with us here at the DKGcon, some of them taking the time to be present online at very different hours of the day. So a lot of appreciation for each and every one of them that managed to carve out that time to make the contribution to the DKGcon and made it as a content-packed conference that it ended up being. Big thanks to all the guests and participants that came here in person, including, of course, yourself, Jonathan. And
thank you.
I think that you created a very almost magical vibe to the whole event, and that was felt throughout. And I
appreciate that.
And it was very nice to see that. And of course, last but by far not least, also the team at Trace Labs who gave it their all, either as being the contributors to the program or being involved on the stage or behind the scenes of really preparing everything. All of those elements really contributed to making this success that it was. So I'll just say thanks to everyone that were a part of this event. And yeah, let's keep your eyes ready for when more information around the updates on everything that we were talking about the DKGcon come out, as well as the next DKGcon.
Do you have a location picked yet for the next one, or is it too early?
It's a mystery yet to be unveiled.
To follow up on what Tomaž said, I'm really excited to see what people build with the just launched V8 Edge node, because this is also the move towards us making it much easier to both build and use the DKG at the same time. This is something that we've been trying to do for quite some time right now. And I believe now it's finally embodied into a product that is going to be very, very easy to use for builders as well, from like mini customizations to like something very, very special. It's going to be very, very exciting. So looking forward to seeing what folks build, and let us know what kind of troubles you run into so we can somehow solve them all together. So yeah, there's actually a very sizable pool for V8 builders, mostly for builders of paranets, that is also intended as incentives for them to build towards the V8 mainnet. So now the Edge node is one of the components they can use and just jump on it quickly. So the ones who jump on this opportunity the first are actually likely going to have the biggest chance of also claiming the value that is there to be taken yet again, as Žiga said, in a very meritocratic way. So if you build something on the DKG, that will basically count towards, and not just build something and it's sitting on a shelf, it's using the DKG. Those who use it will build it. This is really already embodied in the V8 testnet phase. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the builders are about to create.
And I'll just add a thank you to the three of you as well for hosting a lot of the panels, for the keynote presentations, the discussions, the hospitality, the fun vibes. So thank you to you three, and applause as well to the OriginTrail team, the rest of the team, the speakers, the panelists, the attendees. It was just great vibes all around. See you at the next one.
See you.
That's a wrap for DKGcon 2024, and that's a wrap for my coverage from the event. I want to take this time to add some more of my own thank yous. Thank you to all the listeners of this podcast, and to everyone who was present in person who came up and introduced themselves. It was so amazing to hear about the impact On TRAC is having on people, and to put faces and real names to those who actively participate in our live discussions each month. There would be no community without you. We would just be soliloquying into the void. And you know what they say, if you soliloquy on a podcast and no one hears it, did it really happen? So cheers to you, cheers to a wonderful conference, and I'll talk to you again soon on the next episode of the On TRAC podcast. This has been On TRAC, brought to you by OriginTrail. If you like what you heard, consider giving the show a follow and leaving a 5-star review. You can keep up to date with OriginTrail on Twitter/X at Origin_Trail, and you can follow me, your host, at MadDopeMadic. That's MadDopeMadic. Until next episode, trace on and stay on track.